Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 71. Hello a croeso I podcast rhif saith deg un. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans. Joining me today through the powers of the internet is Mr. Henry. I've got my cat backwards today, Cooper.
Well,
how are you doing, sir?
Mean, that's one of your least inventive middle name, nickname things. But it's because
I'm pretty sure I've used it before as well.
I'm pretty sure you have too. Well, it's because it's Ghost of Tsushima Day tomorrow. We're talking about Ghost of Tsushima Day today. Tomorrow at the time of recording. By the time this is out, you will have already played it, maybe. So I'm wearing my Days Gone hat today. It's got his F on it, and he wears it backwards. So I'm repping PlayStation today.
It is so close to Ghost of Tsushima Day. We will definitely be talking about that. We haven't played it ourselves, but we're going to pick through some interesting topics of conversation, let's say, before we get a chance to play it, because we're all very excited, and a lot of things have been said about the game. So we're gonna dive in. Yeah, we're gonna chew the fat and see what we come up with on that one. After that, we'll be running to some Discord questions. We'll be taking some Discord questions from the Patreon community. We'll be reading a triggered fanboy comment of the week. We'll be reading some other YouTube comments and then a bad dad joke of the week to top it off. But before we begin all of that, Henry, how's your week been, sir?
It's just been kind of slow. I haven't really played much. Played a bit more Diablo again. That's been all right. Started playing. I had a real hankering after the story where Halo 3 is coming to the Master Chief Collection on PC, so I had a real kind of urge to play Halo. So I booted up the Xbox, went on Game Pass, and instead of playing 1, 2, and 3, I was like, no, I'm going to start right at the beginning and started playing Reach, which was great. Love Halo Reach. And then started playing 1, and I was like, wow, this feels dated, but it was still good. I was playing on what are they called? There's a word for it. It's not the hardest difficulty, it's one down, because I've played them all before. But fucking hell, the Hunters, you're not very familiar with Halo, but these are the big, tanky things. They've got like a rocket launcher on the arm and a shield, so they block everything, and they're heavily armoured. The only way to beat them is to go around behind them and just shoot them in the back. But they almost exclusively come in pairs. So there's these two absolute tanky monsters coming for you, and I'm like, well, I've got like the worst pistol. Well, actually the pistol's amazing. It's the assault rifle that's terrible. It just sprays everywhere. The accuracy's piss poor. So they were stressing me out quite a lot. Playing Halo 1, getting really annoyed at Hunters. Like, I've beaten you before. Why can't I do it again?
Just put it on journalist mode.
Yeah,
put it on easy.
Yeah, easy mode.
Why stress yourself out, right?
That's the one.
Yeah, so I've not really been playing much this week. I must be honest. I must confess. I've been too busy working, as I always am. But just as a little update, I know I got some people kind of commenting back on some of the TV shows that I've watched in the past. I'm on season 3 of Dark now, and oh my God, has it taken a turn. It is gone crazy. I kind of expected. I don't really want to spoil it.
Good or bad turn?
It's kind of both in a way, right? The story is developed again. I didn't expect it not to. But there's a lot more to it now. And I'm not sure whether I'm enjoying the pacing of the show now. It feels like there's a core issue or problem that needs to be dealt with and developed. But also there's all these other side stories that are going on at the same time. And it feels like that detracts from what I want to see, which is the resolution to the main story.
Yeah.
And it just feels like the pacing's a little bit off. Too many side quests, you could say, Henry.
I mean, it's
too many side
quests. It's a proper
quests.
Gamer problem. I don't know how many non-gamers would have that problem with the show.
But the third season is the last one, so the story is going to tie up at the end of this season. Maybe they were just running out of inspiration for the story, and they thought, right, this is going to be the last season. We'll just tie up everybody's stories. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. But after that, I think I am at a loss for a next show to watch. So, leave your requests or suggestions.
I'd like you to watch this show.
I'm so used to the guitar channel where I'm not asking people for requests.
We've been rewatching The Walking Dead, because it was a really good show in the first season, and then it steadily declines in quality, and then it comes up a little bit for like 2 episodes at a time. It's like, oh wow, that's actually really good, and then it's like, nope, we're going to be shit again. But we've muscled through, and we're past the point now where I stopped watching, so it's like all new now, and I'm really familiar with the comics now because I've binged through them in like a few weeks. So now I'm like, oh, see, I can see all this, and I keep pissing off my girlfriend, being like, I know what's happening, and she's like, just shut the fuck up, all right? But so I've been enjoying it more this time around, but I think it's because I can just burn through it. Like when I watched it the first time around, it was the week to week, like when it was airing on TV. So then you wait a week for something to happen, and then you get a flat episode. It's like, well, this is just, I feel like I've wasted a whole week, whereas now I feel like I'm only wasting an hour when nothing happens.
That's cool. Also, I've been watching a little bit more of Better Call Saul. That's a slow burner for me. I'm just watching that when I get the time, not with the missus. So it's like every time I watch that, I'm more, I just enjoy it. I really enjoy that show. It's one of my favorites. It really is. Now into season 3. But with that said, moving on from the TV and other stuff, straight into the main topic of today's podcast, which is Ghost of Tsushima. We've got a few things to discuss around this topic. Obviously, for those of you who have played it now by watching this, because this is going out on Sunday, the game launches on Friday, 2 days ago, if you're watching this on YouTube at the day of release. So some of you may have hands-on impressions. Others may not have played it and may have not decided to pick it up just yet, or for various reasons not being able to play it. So we're in that situation now. We've not been able to play it yet, but we're still considering what's going on with the game. So what do we have first?
Well, so
we have a talking...
Yeah, I did a bit of a review roundup earlier in the week, but it was only one segment, so I didn't really dwell on it very much. So there's a bit more of that. But at the end of that roundup segment, I touched on this article I came across on Kotaku, which is all about how Japanese review outlets have been really enjoying the game, which is in some ways more relevant than, say, Western outlets, because it's a Japanese game. It's all about Japan and 13th century samurai culture and whatnot. So there's a few they listed which I've plucked quotes from, but remember it's Google translation version, so it might not be spot on. So this one is from Akiba Suken, the outlet, and they massively praise its authenticity, and a lot of these kind of praises and criticisms are shared across all of these different ones. And this one says, even if Japanese people play, they may get a sense of familiarity and even empathy rather than feeling discomfort. Jin Sakai, who carries Tsushima on his back, is not a foreign samurai, but a Japanese samurai. And that whole thing, they're really playing on the idea that it feels like, at least from their perspective as a Japanese person, it feels like it's an authentic Japanese story, not, this is just another Western interpretation of the story, which kind of misses nuances and that sort of stuff. It's the same with when any culture tries to reinterpret another culture. Just like when Japan tries to reinterpret Western culture, they kind of get things a little bit wrong. But it seems like Ghost of Tsushima has done a really good job, because it's developed by Sucker Punch, who I think are one of the hundreds of studios that are based in like Santa Monica area of America. There's loads over there. All the Sony ones are over there. There's another one here which, again, is a similar sort of vibe from Engadget's Japan spin-off. I didn't really feel the movie scenes and worldviews like the mysterious depictions of Japanese people often found in foreign movies, and I enjoyed it as a historical drama game. The productions and stories that I think were produced with respect for historical drama were seen everywhere. So that's basically them saying, similarly, Western interpretations of stuff can get it wrong, but this one didn't. So I think it's a nice thing to hear. But then this one, it's kind of controversial, but kind of a really big deal, and controversial even then is sort of not quite right. So Famitsu are one of Japan's biggest games media outlets, and they gave it a perfect score, which isn't that uncommon in their grand scheme of things, but it's very uncommon to give a perfect score to a Western game, and apparently it's the third one ever to get a perfect score, which I think is 40 out of 40. Seems like an odd number to choose for your
well, I'll tell you why, because Famitsu have got 4 reviewers and they aggregate the scores, so each of them scores up to 10, and then all 4 of them adds up to 40.
Well, that sounds like a smart way to do it. So, it's the third Western-developed game ever to do it, which is very impressive. The other ones are GTA 5 and Skyrim. But they're quite controversial out there these days, because of a number of different things, but there's a recent one with Death Stranding, which they also got a perfect score because that's developed by Kojima Productions in Japan. But the what is he? He's the former editor-in-chief, and forgive me for butchering this pronunciation, Hirokazu Hamamura, former editor-in-chief, but he's now the head of the publisher who owns the magazine. He's featured in the game. Like, he's one of the hologram people you can chat to and deliver boxes to. So that raised some eyebrows about whether or not that's kind of a conflict of interest type thing, corruption or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still think that's a really impressive thing for a Western developer, specifically trying to emulate Japanese culture and such an outlet who's known for not really leaning towards Western games. Because, they do have their biases. They give a lot of Japanese games perfect scores, but that's just because, it's what they like, I guess. But I think it's a testament to
it's a cultural thing. I guess they like it. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But I think this is a testament to how well the folks over at Sucker Punch have produced this historical samurai kind of drama thing.
Yeah.
Because what the vibe I seem to get is it's not trying to be like one-to-one historically accurate in a way that maybe Red Dead is a bit more. That's trying to be a bit more kind of real. Whereas this is, at least in my interpretation before having played it, seems to be like what you think a samurai is, and more of the mythology and the poetry around it, rather than being like a literal interpretation of this is exactly what a samurai does type thing. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
It's well documented that the team went over to Tsushima Island during the production, and just to have a feel for the landscape and obviously research, take pictures, and then try and recreate that, and just get to know people and talk to people about like that era and the culture and things like that. So it's always good when I hear that developers do that kind of thing, because it's happening more and more often now. Because it's, you can imagine a bunch of people from California trying to make a game about samurais, and they know nothing about samurais. But investing the time to do that obviously is paid off here. Yeah,
and apparently they had like a bunch of like historical consultants on to make sure they were getting things right. They had I don't know what the art is called, but like the sword art and sword martial arts. They had a consultant guy for that so that they could get all the animations spot on and the movements just right. So it's little details like that which, if they're not there, you don't necessarily notice that they're not there, but you're like, oh yeah, this is fine. But when they are there, it elevates it, and it's like, oh yeah, this feels much more authentic, which I think is invaluable these days.
Yeah. So it comes to me, it strikes me, right, that this game is one of those games which I am still on the fence about whether to buy day one or not, right? The reasons being that, firstly, I'm not invested in Sucker Punch or the game or the era, the genre, the setting. Yeah. I'm not invested in any way in this game, right? I've never played a Sucker Punch game. I've never... the only, I guess, samurai game, or Tenchu, if you can call that, like Tenchu Stealth Assassins, I'm kind of interested because of that. That's the only kind of hook that's got me into this setting and era. But other than that, everything else I hear about it is another... there's open worldiness to it. There's Ubisoft type of game comparisons made about it, and there's a lot of things said. So when I'm faced with this situation, I don't know whether I want to invest 20-30 hours into another open world game that I'm not sure about, as well as the 50 odd quid it's going to cost. So in this situation, I always go to the reviews, right? And there's enough good things said about reviews, and this is just me. I say no, not everybody should do this. I mean, I'm just saying this is how I do it. But I always look at the worst reviews and try and pick apart the worst things that are said to see whether they resonate with me, see whether what bugged these reviewers would bug me the same. Not saying that...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh. No, go ahead.
I always think there's more value to me in the negative reviews because... if they're written better, they can say specifically why they didn't like it, and you can break that down. Whereas I think a lot of positive ones, especially from your big outlets, which are always accused of stuff like paid reviews and all that sort of crap, they'll just fall over themselves, gushing everywhere. It's like, oh, it's so fantastic, it's so meaningful. But I'm like, right, no, I want something a bit more tangible to explain why. And I think you find that more in negative stuff.
yeah, in the positive reviews, sometimes if you're enjoying something so much, you can sometimes overlook or just not give weight to the little minor irritations in a game or something. Some things that are problems, but you'd overlook them because you're having so much fun. And so that's the situation I'm faced now. And so I know you did a review roundup this week highlighting the main points said, but I've picked out the worst reviews on Metacritic so far, and some quotes and things said. So I'm going to go through them now, and just as a disclaimer, I know these are all negative things that I'm going to read out, but it's only my own thought process. It's only because I go through this personally. I know it's weighted towards the bad things in this game, and so I haven't really at all balanced it out with any positive things. So bear that in mind. I'm going into this, and you're going into this knowing that I'm just going to read negative things about the game, and then going to see if I sort of resonate with me. So, that's the disclaimer out of the way. So the first negative review was Guardian. I say negative, it got 6 out of 10. And we've talked recently about 6 out of 10 doesn't mean that it's, what was it, 5 was average or whatever. And I don't know. These days, 6 out of 10 means the review didn't like it at all. And that's quite apparent. It was, I think it was Keza McDonald or something who reviewed this. And her main gripes were it's too easy, it was boring and uninspired. And some of the things that she said was, the difficulty, it was really difficult to begin with. In the middle, it's quite thrillingly conquerable. The end of the game is way too easy. So there's the lack of balance game between the middle, beginning and the end. She complained about the bloat, repetition, and boredom, and then lack of imagination in the side quests. Tedious is a word that she used most often. Now, when I think about these types of issues in a game, bloat, repetition, and boredom, I often feel that if those words are used, it's because you're not enjoying the gameplay. If you're enjoying the gameplay, the combat, or whatever, and you're getting through it, right? There's no bloat. Everything's fun. There's no repetition because it's all fun. It's fine if you're repeating something that you find enjoyable. Yeah. Exactly. And if you're only bored. A board is a reflection on the reviewer's state of mind. It's not a reflection of the game, right? All that means is that this reviewer didn't enjoy certain aspects of this game. Boredom is not a criticism that you should be putting in a review. I was bored playing this game.
Yeah, I think that's far
tell me
too
about
subjective.
The game. Yeah. So this is why I go through this process. Just try and pick apart the negativities to see if actually they've got problems or they just don't like open world games.
Which
a lot
is
of
fine,
these that it's fine, but you don't review an open world game. Yeah. Don't get paid to do that. Don't tell people about an open world game if all you're going to do is say, "Oh, I'm bored. I don't like open world games. I don't like this. But I've seen this 10 times before," which is what a lot of these say. Yeah. By the way, spoiler alert. So that was the Guardian. Next up was VG247, who gave it a 6, and the quotes are, "It's like you're ticking off a to-do list. Archaic design, for example, insta-fail stealth missions, can be a bit shit. Exploding red barrels, well, that's not a big problem. Missions to tail people at certain distance, so it's like follow at a certain distance mission, which we've all seen before, and walk slightly out of bounds and trigger a game over sequence. The tedious, repetitive content was a quote, and far too easy too was a quote." So again, what this resounds for, oh God, my words aren't working today. What this resonates of is them being bored of all open world tropes, essentially. If you don't mind these things, it's not going to bother you. It's bothered this guy. He's gave it a 6. So ticking off a to-do list, a la Ubisoft open world, you might say, right?
Yeah, I think sounds a bit a kind of a general criticism of every open world game, which is certainly a fair criticism. But you're right. If you love open world games and you play them all, and that's like your jam, then it's totally not going to be a problem. Saying it's far too easy, I don't know, like, I feel there's difficulty modes which you can change, and if it's too easy, you can make it harder. And these days, especially, more and more games have it so that you can alter the difficulty just in the game settings. You don't have to go back to the main menu. You don't have to restart. You can just knock it up and down as you please, which I think is great. And I think that's the case with this one, but I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. Well, I think a lot of people, when they see it, because especially with the Japanese setting, people have kind of maybe incorrectly assumed that it's like a Souls-like or a Sekiro-esque thing. Yeah, it seems like I've seen a few people in like Twitter comments and stuff like that saying, "Oh, I wish it was more Souls-like and stuff." But I'm like, but we've already had that very recently. We had Sekiro, which was Japanese shinobi samurai-esque thing, but with super hard combat. So I don't know. I feel like people seem to have mischaracterized what it is, and that's not necessarily their fault. You can say that's like the trailer's fault and this, that, and the other, but I don't think it's necessarily a fair criticism to come at it from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, right? Because this is an open world game, and how many different ways can you do an open world game? And this is resonates in the other reviews. Let me run through these really quickly, and then I'll get to my points. So Survivor give it a 7. It's hard not to try and describe things without likening events to any of the number of Ubisoft titles. The combat was way too easy in some respects, camera completely broken, boring missions, the game has nothing original, and Jin is a weak character. VGC, again, 6 out of 10, I think. Too much filler was the main takeaway here. Excessive repetition was a quote. 6 different locations. In 16 different locations, you see a fox, you follow, you pray, and pet, like in that rotation. So it's like very repetitive in that way. Things you do, you have to do them often. And then quotes, but dialogue is often very plain and side characters reduced to singular motivations, so a bit shallow in that way. And lastly, Gaming Bible, a beautiful world that's too shallow, was the headline. Battles become repetitive. The combat you face in the first hours of the game is basically the same as what you see all the way through the campaign. And then the quotes, quests too feel like they all come from a small set of moles. Last one as well, it's disappointing that it has nothing new to say. Again, it kind of... The feeling I get from these reviews is that these guys are bored of open world games. They've played far too many open world games and they're just not liking what's on offer here. And the question, before I read these last 3, I was going to get to is, how many different ways can you do an open world game? Yeah, there's a lot of tropes here. There's a lot of things we've seen before. But what are they expecting? They you know what I mean? What else can you do in an open world game? Have we hit the barrier, upper ceiling of like all new innovations in open world games? Are we yet to see like a new wave of like different things you can put in an open world game? Are we still waiting for that next level of open world game where things aren't generic, where you're not just doing fetch quests, or fetch quests is the age old criticism you can have for side quests, and a lot of the criticisms in this game are that the side quests are a bit boring, repetitive, seen it all before, yada yada yada. So where do we go from here with open world games? Do we just
yeah, I mean,
what's the answer?
Like, if people buy open world games as well. That's the thing. Like people lap them up. I mean, Assassin's Creeds always sell well and they come out every year. It's because people like pottering about in an open world. I mean, maybe not hardcores, and you could say they're just casuals, but I mean that they sell, so people are going to continue to make them. And I think the reason I'm interested in Ghost of Tsushima is because of the setting, and I think that can sell it on a lot of open world games, or like the veneer of something new on the surface, even if you're just doing the same old stuff. Like I reference it all the time, but 3 of Sony's biggest exclusives, now 4 including Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, all very, very similar in terms of open world design and, being an open world game and following tropes like climbing towers and clearing the map and all that sort of stuff. They share a lot, but I like them all. But they were all reviewed very differently. I think Spider-Man was reviewed pretty well. I think Horizon was reviewed very well. And Days Gone really wasn't. Like, none of them liked Days Gone. Days Gone had a lot of performance issues on top, which didn't really help. But I think this one falls into that same pot and the same criticisms, but again, it's reviewed pretty well. It's like an 84 on Metacritic, I think, so a lot of people still like it. So I think
that's a reasonable observation.
I think for me, I'm fine. I'm up for doing the same stuff. I'm up for, climbing towers and clearing out encampments and stuff, because this time I can do it as a samurai. That's the thing which is different enough for me to want to do it. Like, that game isn't going to feel the same in moment to moment in terms of like combat and that, to something like Days Gone, which is a shooter with a motorbike. This is, you've got a sword, and yeah, they are similar, but that's different enough for me, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get that. I've got a question whether I've got 20 to 30 hours in me of doing that, though.
Yeah,
I recently smashed The Last of Us Part 2 over a few days. It was 3 or 4 days, and I invested a lot of time per day in that. Obviously, to the detriment of my other things that I've got going in my life, and it felt like a slog to get through it towards the end because I don't know. So maybe that game soured me a little bit. Maybe I should just get Ghost of Tsushima and just enjoy it as I play it, rather than trying to smash it.
I've heard a few different numbers flung around for how long it's going to take. Some people have said kind of like a 25 hour critical path, and then all the way up to like 50 with side questing and collectible hunting, and just 100% completion. But I haven't really seen anyone say that it's too long or bloated. Like the word repetitive and bloated, I think, can be used interchangeably, but they are different. Like, it seems like some of the stuff you're doing is a bit samey, but it's not overstuffed in the same way, perhaps like Assassin's Creed Odyssey was, for example. Yeah.
The way I think, I love open world games, and I always have done, right? My problem right now is that I don't have time to invest like I used to when I was younger, whatever.
Yeah.
So I pick my open world games very selectively. I got The Outer Worlds last year, and I love that game. I still haven't finished it. I'm still X amount of hours in. I'm playing it on the Switch now too. Still haven't finished it. I want to play it. I want to finish it, but I just don't find the time, and that's the problem here, right? And with a game like this, which I'm kind of interested in playing it, but I know that I'm going to spend 50 quid on it and maybe just sink 5-10 hours in and then leave it because there's another game that comes out or whatever. That's my issue. Maybe if it was 20 quid, I could justify the expense. And then with Cyberpunk coming out at the end of the year as well, it's like I really want to save as much open world fatigue as possible for that game.
Yeah, I mean...
So that's where I'm at.
For the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking, I could really do with jumping into Red Dead and just role-playing a little cowboy adventure. You know, just go around, ride some horses, kill some bandits. But then I've also been like, no, because that's an open world game, and I put them all. Anytime there's a new major open world game coming out, I kind of deliberately avoid playing any others so that I don't get too fatigued on it. So that's why I've been playing. Played Diablo, which is, I mean, it's not an open world, but it's still it's very linear in terms of you sweep through environments and stuff. Playing Halo, and that's kind of open-esque levels, but it's still quite linear. There's no like side quests or any of that junk cluttering it up. So I think that means I'm not going to be, I'm not oversaturating myself on the open world stuff. But that's something I've just always done. If I know there's a big open world thing coming out after this, I don't think there's another major game I'm particularly interested in. I mean, I think Avengers is in September, and that could go any way. That could be the worst thing in the world, or it could actually be pretty decent. I have no idea. Then I think Watch Dogs is an open world in October, and I'm undecided on that. Valhalla is an open world. My phone is ringing, which has been flagged as potential fraud. You can bugger off then. Yep. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. So I'm interested in what people want to. People are watching this. I've got to say about the game, how they feel about the situation, about my predicament, whether I should buy it, whether I should invest in it or not. Whether you feel the same way, whether there's just too many open world games. I don't know. Are games too long now?
Yes.
Like it was Jason Schreier's flipping comment actually kind of on the nose.
Yes, he's right. They are too long. That doesn't mean we need to get rid of long games, but they don't all need to be huge time sinks.
So there you go. That was our just a brain fart essentially about Ghost of Tsushima.
What was your guess? Can you remember for the Metacritic rating? I think I said 86, so it's just below what I predicted people would think. A lot of the criticisms and praising is in line with my predictions. Is it around what you thought? I can't remember what I thought. Is it 83 or something, the actual score? 83, 84, something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember. You have to remind us. Maybe someone's watched that podcast recently where we predicted. But do let us know who was the winner, because we're very competitive here. And with that said, we are going to move on to the community section of this podcast. Now, this podcast is funded almost entirely, I would say, definitely in the majority, by Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. And without the generous souls donating to us every single month, we wouldn't be able to continue this content. So if you do enjoy this content, please consider donating. And in return, you get early access to this podcast, as well as you get to ask us questions for the podcast. And you get it 2 days earlier, I said that. Access to the Discord, where you can chat with us. Although the Discord is open to the public, just like 1 or 2 channels available to the public. So this week we've had a couple of increased pledges. So huge thanks to everybody who's increased the pledge this week. Stephen McNally edited their pledge from $1 to $2, adding 100% to their pledge. And I say every single week that every single dollar does count, because if everybody watched and enjoyed our content, pledged just $1, we wouldn't have to worry about finances ever again. We'd be safe, as it were. So thank you very much, Stephen McNally. And the other one was Sora Cerberus, edited their pledge from $5 to $10. Again, huge thanks everybody for supporting us every month, especially these couple of guys or people who have increased their pledges. It makes a difference, really does. And with that said, let's move on to the first community question of the week, or rather, it's the Metalshark quiz of the week, which should have its own segment, because it's such an awesome feature that we a weekly feature now. And this week, I think it is your
I'm the victim this time.
Quiz. Henry is the victim. So Metalshark posts a small section of rhyming riddles for Henry. We'll be naming the spaceship or the game it comes from. You get the point for either the game or the ship name. Victory air punch for both. Okay, that's the most important bit. Okay, the first riddle, you'll only see the edge of me, was created by Atari.
I've no idea. I don't.
It's very cryptic.
I don't know
whether it's
I'm
too abstract.
Familiar with that many gaming spaceships. I mean, if it was Star Wars ships, I could maybe give it a go, but
it isn't the Millennium Falcon. So unfortunately, the answer is the triangle ship from Asteroids.
I was thinking Asteroids, but I didn't. That's just because it was my first thought for any of these. So this is going to be hard.
Yeah, if that's an indication of how difficult these are, good luck, Henry. Next up, same name as Northwest France. The stealth system was my great advance. This is
that
easy.
Has to be the Normandy from Mass Effect, right?
It is Normandy from Mass Effect, and for some reason Alexa's talking to me. Give me 1 second while I mute that bitch. Sorry about that, people. When a woman just intervenes and injects herself into your conversation, words have to be said. I just clicked her mute button.
Must be laid down.
That was a joke, by the way. You're so misogynistic, or whatever. Right, you've got 1 out of 2. Henry, the next riddle, named after the inventor of the shock point drive. Good luck leaving me alive.
Good luck leaving me alive. I imagine that's a very violent horror thing set on a ship. So I'm inclined to say something like Dead Space. My first thought is like Alien, but I don't think there's any Alien games set on one specific ship that I can think of, because I think Alien Isolation is on a station, and I can't really remember anything else.
I'm just going to stop you there and say that you are correct. This is the USG Ishimura from Dead Space. Nice guess there, Henry. 2 out of 3. Let's move on to riddle number 4. Moving behind the front line, 300 points if shot in time. Moving behind the front line. 300 points if shot in time.
I mean, I couldn't even guess that one. I have no idea.
Okay, think classic. Think arcade.
Arcade, like Space Invaders. He's in a little
Space Invaders
ship.
is the correct answer.
Yeah, okay,
correct. Good. That is 3 out of 4. That was the mothership from Space Invaders. Didn't even know it was called Mothership.
No, but
now we do. Next up, best known for doing a barrel roll. You'll have more than poor control. PAW control.
I can't remember what these ships are called, but that'll be the fighters from Star Fox. I don't know.
It is correct. R-Wing from Star Fox. The barrel roll. Do a barrel roll. That's that old meme. Congratulations. That is the 4th correct answer out of 5. You're doing all right here. With a little help, obviously. The same model as the Nostromo and refitted after being used to tow.
The Nostromo is the ship in the first Alien movie, which gets spoilers, gets exploded at the end. Same model as the Nostromo.
You just spoiled that movie for everyone.
But I gave
oh my God, Henry!
This
you
time.
spoil every
single.
You said spoilers and said it. Oh my goodness, Henry! You spoil everything on this podcast.
I gave you a pause, and there's a delay between.
How
us,
old is that movie? 30, 40 years, whatever.
It's like 1977 or something. Same North. Well, this is probably the one in Alien Isolation, but I can't remember what it's called. Well, it's a station. It's not a ship.
It is.
So it's the.
Correct.
I'll get it.
You get the point.
I'll get it. It's there. It's Sevastopol. Is that what it's called? Sevastopol Station.
Well, according to Metalshark, it's the USCSS Torrens from Alien Isolation.
Right. Well, I'm right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Torrens is her ship. Yeah. Okay. I am right, but in the wrong way.
Yeah. That was a good train of thought there from the Nostromo in Aliens. It was a bit of a giveaway with that. You have now 6 points from a possible. So 5 points from possible 6. We have 4 remaining. And the next riddle. My fusion reactors took out a ring. A pillar of hope opposed with spring.
That's the Pillar of Autumn from Halo. That's easy.
Correct. Wow.
Especially as I just played it.
It wasn't. Yeah, there you go. A marine animal, large mammal with room, from a JRPG and named like the moon.
A large marine animal that's a mammal, so it's probably a whale. From a JRPG named like the moon. My immediate thought there is if it's JRPG, so obviously Japanese, and it's moon, so my thought is Sailor Moon, but I don't know if there's a Sailor Moon game, and I've never watched Sailor Moon, so I don't really know what it's about.
So the answer is Lunar Whale from Final Fantasy 6. Sorry, 4. Final Fantasy 4. A literal whale.
No idea about that one.
So there you go. Unfortunately, you were on the right track though. You got the whale.
I mean,
I can't even give you half a point though.
No, that's fair. I've only played one Final Fantasy game. Well, technically 2, but they're both the same game, just 7 and 7 Remake.
There you go. Next up, question number 8. We're on 6. Did you get? No, you had 5. Destroyed by Olympus, killing all on board. Found in a game by Infinity Ward.
This, I mean, I didn't play it, but this is probably whatever the Call of Duty game is when they went to space. But
yeah,
what's it called?
It's come on, Henry.
Is it Infinite Warfare? Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Is that the one?
Is correct. The UNSA Tigris from Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Destroyed by the Olympus Mons supercarrier. Yeah, Infinity Ward. Obviously, it was a Call of Duty game, but which one was the question? So there you go. Actually, we've had 9 questions now, and you've got 7 correct. So we're on the very last one. This is for the 8 out of 10 final score. And the riddle goes like this. The starting ship on your roguelike journey. Keep the oxygen room going and upgrade me.
So it's a space-based roguelite. Well, roguelike, rather.
roguelike journey, yeah.
That could be a million other things, but the first one that comes to my head is Everspace, but I don't think Oxygen has anything in particular to do with Everspace, but I'm going to go for Everspace.
The answer is the Kestrel from FTL. I don't think you ever played FTL, did you? Because it's a PC exclusive.
Yeah.
But there you go.
That's fine. I don't feel bad about losing ones I don't know.
You did well. That is 7 out of 10 this week. And again, thank you, Mr. Metalshark, for consistently, week on week, putting all this effort into these quizzes, which we all play along with at home. Let us know what your scores were as well, everybody. But big thanks to Metalshark for the effort involved.
Make Gaz suffer next week. That was really hard.
We'll see. We will see. Okay, should we move on to the next?
Yeah, what is next?
The next question.
It's the Game of the Ages next, which is our recurring proxy question from Not That Rob Lowe about what our favourite game is from a given year. The only rule is that we have to have played it at some point, just not necessarily at the time, because, I mean, who played a game when they were just a little baby? But now we're years on. You're all the way up to, 2019 now. So, I mean, you've got loads of games to choose from.
Yes. So, my year was 2019, and the games that came out last year, of which are most notable for me, indie game Katana Zero, which I played on a Switch, which is actually really cool. Talking of samurai, is it samurai or? Yeah, samurai type game. So it's a game where you can reverse time if you get something wrong, which is a really cool mechanic, but it's pretty difficult. So you do have to use that rewind time ability quite often. It's pretty cool. I would definitely recommend it for those people who are interested in that. The other three, The Outer Worlds, I guess, is the third place because I haven't really finished it yet, so I can't really say that was my favourite game from that year. But the other two, which were top of my list, Metro Exodus was a fantastic experience. I really loved that game. But number one for me was Days Gone. And we talked about it earlier. Didn't get the greatest of reviews, but there was something about that game. It was an open world game, but I think what alleviated the fatigue and the boredom for me was just that motorbike, getting around so quickly, efficiently. That was fun to do, as well as I love the zombie genre. I love the hordes in the game. Nothing new to the table. Say what you want about it. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was my game of 2019. So there, shove it. There was a bunch of other games that I never got around to. I just didn't really connect with, but. There's a bunch on my to playlist from last year, that's for sure.
Well, that's a good choice. I had to move on to films long ago because I'm so much younger than this old man, so I'm on 2009 for films. And the list wasn't that impressive, but there's a few decent sort of action-type movies here. Inglourious Bastards, the Star Trek remake, Sherlock Holmes, Watchmen, Public Enemies, Avatar, The Hangover, Moon, Transformers 2, The Hurt Locker, Taken, and a cool, weird superhero movie that no one likes called Push, which I quite like. But, so I'm torn here because I really like Moon. Moon is an excellent film. It's sort of big budget indie kind of thing because it's got really good special effects, but there's only 2 people in it. So I don't want to tell you too much about it, but it's a guy stuck on the moon alone. Watch it, it's really good. So that's a maybe. The Hangover, the original one, is legitimately one of my favourite comedy films ever. All of the others can get in the bin. They all suck. The first one, excellent film, great premise. It's just really funny. But I think I'm probably going to pick Watchmen because a lot of people don't like Watchmen, but I really like it. It's one of the most faithful recreations of a comic book ever, apart from a significant change to the ending, but it's not actually that significant because the outcome is still the same. It's just an odd choice. Visually, it's outstanding. Zack Snyder, even if his films aren't so good in terms of writing and plot and characters and all that, he has a really good eye for visuals and stuff, and they did a really, really good job with that. And it's one of the, I can't remember if I may have just said this, but it's one of the only I think it was the first example of a movie where I had actually read the thing it's based on first. I had actually read the comic first and then watched it, so I really liked it. So I'm picking Watchmen.
There you go. So me being as basic as I am, my choice from that list would be Avatar. Sorry to say it, I just like that movie. Yeah. So what? It's I know, it's been done before. It's like the Dances with Wolves story and this like cheesy blockbuster. I went to watch it in 3D. It's the first movie that I experienced in 3D, and it was really impressive. I liked that movie. So what? Yeah. And I am looking forward to the next 3 or 4 installments. How many more are they making now? They're making 4, aren't they?
No idea.
Making 4.
I like Avatar.
And they're going to be releasing.
I like Avatar.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So there. Deal with it. Okay, next question is going to be from Earthlu and Ben. And this is it. According to rumours, Microsoft will not be revealing the price of the next-gen consoles next week at their event. Considering we're only a few months away from release of the next-gen console, do you find it a bit irresponsible of both Sony and Microsoft to be having a Mexican standoff with announcing the pricing, or even an estimate, especially considering the entire world is going through financial crisis at the moment? Also, do you believe this will harm sales long or short term?
I don't think it's going to have any impact on sales, them waiting. I think if it's too expensive, it will. If it's too cheap, it will. But I don't think them waiting will have an impact. But I do kind of agree, a bit irresponsible. Irresponsible is maybe not the right word. But I think it is in their interest to just keep biting at each other and holding, and whoever blinks first loses, because then whoever comes out after will be like, oh, look, we're a tenner cheaper or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they stand to gain or lose anything other than a bit of... But it's annoying for the consumer. That's kind of what I mean.
It's annoying is what it is, yeah. But I don't think it's much more than that. I don't think it's irresponsible.
Yes, I'm not sure that's the right word.
And it's an interesting scenario, right? Because there is a Mexican standoff, because they are both waiting for each other, whether they admit that or not. But I think the situation has been made really worse by the coronavirus situation. There, I said it. Demonetize me. Screw you. I'm a rebel today. So in terms of, factories getting shut down in China, whoever makes the components for these systems, they don't know exactly how much all these components are going to cost because of like shortages in the materials and the things to make up the consoles. So they don't know how much it's going to cost them just yet because of all this uncertainty. So they're not sure how much to charge.
Yeah,
I think that is a large part of why they've not announced it yet, and I think that's reasonable. That's understandable. They don't want to put a price on something and then realize, oh shit, it's going to have to be more expensive than that, or we're losing money, or slap a big price tag on it and have everyone ridicule it and say there's no way I'm paying that much money for a console. So I think it's understandable. I don't say it's irresponsible. I think that's a bit of a... I don't know. Saying it's irresponsible is only seeing your side of this equation, your side of the story. If you think about what they're trying to do and the problems that they're facing, it seems reasonable enough to me.
Yeah, it's definitely annoying, but yeah, I don't think irresponsible is quite the right word. But yeah. All right, there's another Earthworm Ben question here, so might as well just bounce straight onto that. I watched Devolver Digital's show today, and they only showed off about 4 games, but the down-to-earth humour and mocking both other companies and the industry was great. Did you get a chance to watch it, and do you think a publisher has the right to mock another developer for having stereotypical buzzwords, games, or practices? So I was really annoyed. I wanted to watch it, but then I just completely missed it, and so I need to go back and rewatch it, like catch the rerun of the stream or whatever. But yeah, I think it's hilarious. That's what Devolver do. They are the best publisher for just not giving a shit about how other companies do it, or like being microtransaction filled, or like day one DLC or any of that shit. That's like, yeah, we're gonna make a bunch of games and we're gonna say you're a dickhead for doing it, and then we're gonna we reap all the benefits. I think it's hilarious. And of course, like, do you think the publisher has the right to mock up other developers? Yeah, of course they do. It's I mean, it's just the nature of the game.
All is fair.
If more companies did it, the world would be a bit more interesting, and it might force them to do something a bit different. It's not going to be that pleasant. If you're working at Activision, you're just you're just a grunt, a regular Joe, entry level sort of position, and this company slays your company. It's going to be like, man, that kind of sucks. But they're not going after the person, are they? They're going after the conglomerate and the corporation.
Yeah, they're definitely punching up because they're a small independent developer. No, I haven't watched this, but I've seen them in the past. They're great at parodying, and that's what comedy is, right? Comedy is highlighting some of the things that are actually ridiculous, but in a funny way. And this is all it is: mocking. Oh, how dare you mock our company who make billions of pounds? How dare you mock us?
And it's like so,
get fucking over it.
Like, so what? Like they said. Like a bit of a mean thing.
Oh, we hurt your feelings?
Like, I mean,
you're going to go home and cry into your pillows?
It's not hurting.
How can you sleep at night?
It's not hurting their bottom line, is it? They're not going to lose money from Devolver just being like, hey, look at these chumps.
Yeah, I think I think if they're upset over that and they hurt their feelings, then they just need to get over it, man. I mean, I'm sure their piles and piles of cash that they sleep on every single night will console them enough.
People on Reddit and YouTube say much worse than what Devolver do. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. So next up, Rage Andy Kid has this question: a Shaghead Divide at Henry, always good content from you guy. So I was planning Stellaris Amazing 4K. I was playing Stellaris Amazing 4K strategy game and got thinking, what type of already IP would be good adapted to strategy? What would you choose to turn into a strategy game and why? Also, it can be any type of game such as turn-based or full-on 4K. Keep it the good work. So Stellaris 4X, I believe, is the expression. 4K, that's just the resolution, right? That's an amazing resolution game, that one. So the 4X where you expand, exterminate, the other two that I've forgotten. So what would you choose to turn into a strategy and why? Could be any game.
The one I think I've talked about this before. The one I've held for the longest and it is now a thing, which I haven't played yet, is Gears Tactics. I always wanted a Gears strategy game, maybe like an RTS, but I like that they've done it as a turn-based tactical. The next one that's kind of popping into my head, it wouldn't necessarily work because, well, Mass Effect would be my choice, but Mass Effect is an RPG, so you'd have to still kind of incorporate a lot of RPG stuff to make it worthwhile. But I think if you did a strategy game with with different characters from the different races and using their different strengths, and I think that could be really interesting. Especially, I don't know if there's any strategy games that tell a branching story in the same way that Mass Effect does, the way it responds to your choices or anything like that. I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go for one of my favorite genres because I'm a basic bastard, and this is the third time this podcast that I've explained how basic I am. But something like with zombies, just a zombie strategy game.
Zombies are fun.
Well, a survival game, or with zombies in a post-apocalyptic setting. I just like. I don't know. It's just I'm a basic bastard. That's all I got to put it down to.
Okay,
there you go. Thanks for the question, Rage Andy Kid.
There's multiple questions in this one, so I guess we'll just take them one at a time. It's from White Wolf. Contentious politics for Gaz. Unanswered YouTube comments in response to previous podcast episodes. All right, this could be interesting. Number one. Epic is very much not the same as Steam. Steam has reviews. That's a huge difference, which no other store except GOG. Epic's refund policy is not as clear-cut. Steam has achievements, controller support, big picture mode, Steam Link, and no exclusives. Now the question, thoughts?
Yeah, so this is a comment left on one of our other podcasts where I said that to me, and those are the operative words, to me, Epic is the same as Steam because it's just a platform where I access my games. I purchase a game and I click on the game to get them there. And I think I went on another rant about how games used to be just an icon on your desktop, and now you've got to boot up a third-party software or like middleman software to get to your game. So in that respect, this middleman software Steam is the same way as this middleman software Epic. It's just another hurdle that I've got to jump through to get to what I want, which is my games. That's the way I said it was the same as Steam. I didn't compare. I didn't start going at features and reviews and refund policies, any of that shit. If you actually listen to what I say, it's pretty damn fucking simple.
And these features, I mean, yeah, they separate Steam and Epic, but it's a question of do you use them? A refund's probably the most like the one that I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, you're absolutely right. Epic need better refund systems. But I think things like achievements, reviews, controller support, big picture mode, Steam Link, and well, maybe exclusives can go in with a refund as well, but that's a different topic. Yeah, all those features. If you don't use them, you're not going to miss them. Like if you exclusively play on mouse and keyboard, you're not going to care about controller support. So I guess, I mean, yeah, they are things on Steam, but as you say, in your experience and your preferences, you don't see any difference because I guess you don't use controller support or achievements or big picture mode or whatever.
Right. So, shall I read the second one?
Yeah, go on.
Next up, Gaz, do you really think that a corporation in China is the same as a corporation in the West? We're talking about the difference between a company that must ally itself with a repressive communist dictatorship regime to function versus one that must abide by, albeit minimal, a set of ethics laws in a democracy. Do I really think that corporation in China is the same as corporation in the West? Did I say that? I mean, all corporations are kind of the same, right? They're just there to make money.
I'm not entirely sure where this one's come from, but yeah. I mean,
yeah. Maybe no. Yes, maybe no. I'm not a big. I don't know. I mean, comparing two corporations from two companies, one from the West, are they really that much different? They're just entities which are there to sell products, create products, sell products, and make profit. Whether they abide by Chinese repressive communist dictatorship regime, which is in itself a judgment. All right, you don't like China. I get that from the way that you explained it. But is it really that much different from... I don't think so. I think a big corporation is the same as any other, whether they're abiding by Chinese rules or not.
Yeah, the ones in China, as you say, must abide by the communist dictatorship, which, I mean, generally speaking, communist dictatorships are pretty fucking terrible. But just because Western companies don't have to follow that doesn't mean they're not doing the same or similarly terrible things. I mean, generally speaking, all corporations fucking suck. That's why they're corporations. That's how they get to be as big as they are, by screwing people over. Right.
Yeah. And the other point, just the one that... So in the West, corporations apparently that must abide by an albeit minimal set of ethic laws in a democracy, right? So that's a double-edged sword. Are you saying that's a good thing? Are you saying that they don't have to? They're not impose all these strict rules like the communist companies are. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, so they can capitalize and they've got no rules to follow. So they can totally exploit you in any way that they like. How is that a good thing?
China, for all their faults, has done better work to stop loot boxes, or at least tackle loot boxes, than a lot of Western companies have, because by law they've made it so that everything has to divulge odds, which still isn't a perfect solution by all means, and there's still a long way to go. Don't just I feel like that goes without saying, but someone will jump on me if I don't say it.
Always.
But it's better than the likes of your Activisions and your EAs, who are just saying no, it's fine, because they can get away with it. So in some ways, there are advantages to being in such a dictatorship, because they can bully you into things. But I'm not saying they're good, by all means. All right, next question, because I feel like we've dwelt on that one quite a while. Number 3, do you really think all large companies are evil just because of their size? So that bit's the quote. This next bit's not in quotes. Why is there not a single large corporation that you don't admire and see as a good example of good governance? To me, Apple is a great example. Steam, Tesla, SpaceX, Visa, MasterCard, Twitter, AMD, Intel, Asda, Tesco, Marks and Spencer, Waitrose, Sainsbury's, etc. And then I think that's another separate question there, so I'll just move that. Are all companies evil?
Just because of the size. I don't know, maybe I said they were all evil in the past, but I don't know, being hyperbolic is part of my shtick, right? They're not all evil. No, probably not. I don't know for certain. I'm infinitely skeptical. They could be good, but I mean, I would put money on them all being evil in some way. They're all after money. They're all after my money. They're all after your money. That's what I remember. Oh, I like Apple, and I like Tesla. I like SpaceX. I like this. I like that. What are they doing for you personally, other than making some headlines that you like to read, or creating good products? I guess. I mean, you pay a lot of money for those products, especially Apple. My God.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like how they treat their workers and stuff, because you can work at any of these supermarkets you mentioned. I don't know, I don't have it immediately in front of me, but a lot of them is just minimum wage on 0-hour contracts, and I'm not actually entirely against 0-hour contracts, because they can be very, very flexible for people like students who don't have like such strict schedules. But for a lot of people, they're a really terrible idea. So I think it just comes down to how you're treating your employees and the people actually doing the work versus your CEOs who are getting billion-dollar bonuses every year for doing just the same thing. So I mean, I think these examples you list, they may be very good, but I don't have anything in front of me to really refute that.
Yeah,
I just have a general distrust of a big company. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a skepticism, cynicism. So let's move on to the next question. I think it must also be from Mike Wolf. This is it's this part here. Could you give us Henry, could you give a summary of your experience playing Mass Effect 1 and 2 especially? What did you think of Mass Effect 3? For me, there was way too much combat for an RPG, which made me also not enjoy Dragon Age Origins. And then in brackets, Mass Effect 1 had 1 to 3 minutes of combat at a time. Mass Effect 3 had up to 10 minutes with enemies coming in waves like Gears of War shit.
I've not gone on to 3 yet, because I've sort of been putting it off while other stuff's been out, but I will get to it. I really enjoyed Mass Effect 2 in particular. Mass Effect 1, I think the story's great, but I found it really hard to get through the gameplay. Not in terms of difficulty, but just how it feels, and just because it's old, it's very dated, and even for the time it was clunky. They pretty much fixed most of that for 2. But I'm not sure if I like the story so much in 2. 2, I think, is a bit more like the way it's structured is like you're assembling a team for so much of it, rather than any kind of big plots. The big thing is pretty much the same from the beginning to the end, which is we need to get through this portal and save the day, basically. But kind of before you do that, you've just got to recruit everyone, and there's some cool interpersonal stuff, but I don't think the overall story is quite so good. The Mass Effect, you're constantly moving point to point to point in a more kind of fluid plot, if that makes sense. So I prefer the story of 1, prefer the gameplay of 2.
The other part of the question, did either of you play Mass Effect Andromeda, and what were your impressions? I got it on the Steam sale last month, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I don't get all the hate, never played it till now. I don't play RPGs for amazing animations, seems totally solid. Did you play Andromeda?
No, I've not played it yet, because I didn't play it when it came out, because I haven't played the other 3, and I might go into it once I've done 3. Because I feel like I should give it a shot, and it's probably really cheap now, as you say. You got it on the Steam sale.
There was a lot said about it around launch with the "my face is tired" meme, and a lot of people comparing it to the original trilogy. So that's why it was under a lot of scrutiny, because people were expecting too much, which is why it got panned. I kind of enjoyed my time with it. I didn't play a lot of it. I got to, I remember getting to a point on one of the first planets where you're driving around on the car, and that frustrated me, and then it was like moving on to the next game, I guess. It's one of those ones that I'm kind of inclined to go back and play, because I know there's stuff in there that I will enjoy, but I haven't got around to it yet. And that's it. It was all right. The memes were funny.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of enjoyment out of that, despite having not played it.
There you go. Thanks for the questions, Mr. White Wolf. Let's move on.
Next up is Cloney99. Send help. The Amstel ailment killed my enthusiasm for all upcoming releases, and that during a console election year. Oh dear. Well, that's no good. Has the shutdown affected your gaming behaviour? Do you view games different now? I sure as hell have become frustrated. I can't play single player games for the life of me because it reminds me of how lonely this house is. Then again, I would probably feel more immersed if I felt at home in this flat. Don't worry, we're trying to find a better place already. Well, I hope you can find a place. It's never good when you just feel kind of like you're knocking about a house you don't want to be in and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like home. I'm still curious as to how Cyberpunk will play, but I didn't really work on my backlog, instead sinking time into stupid MMO stuff. Did you resurrect some online contacts, or are you fine with the people you need to share your space with anyways, family or girlfriend, and enjoy sinking into an artificial experience more than ever? Right, okay, so we'll tackle the first one, which has lockdown affected your gaming behavior, and do you think about games differently?
Well, I mean, I played with my kids a bit over the time, so like Fortnite and Minecraft a little bit too. So that's kind of fun. Has it affected my gaming behavior? Not really, because no, I wouldn't say it has. In that I play less because I'm now focused on the guitar channel, and I've got less time for gaming now. Maybe it's just taken away a little bit. I don't know.
I don't really think mine's changed all that much at all, to be honest. I feel like I'm maybe playing a bit more socially with my girlfriend, and now I've started playing Diablo with a couple of mates. But I'm not sure that really has that much to do with lockdown. But maybe. Yeah. I don't really think it's anything significant if it has. But I'm sorry that you feel like yours has. Hopefully you can get your spark back and your enthusiasm.
There you go. Thanks for the question, Cloney. Lochka is next. What would you say is your ideal vision for the channel? Should all of the Patreon funding goals be met? Now, Henry, as the person who kind of runs the channel day to day, if you had an unlimited, let's just like hypotheticalize this situation. If you had a limited budget to make gaming videos, like what would you do? Like unlimited time as well. What kind of gaming videos would you do? Would you do more reviews? Would you do more like Let's Plays and stuff?
Well, I think so. Unlimited time and unlimited money. So does that mean I don't have to abide by like 24-hour days and 7-day weeks? I can bend time to my will. Is that what we're saying?
Because, I don't know. Because it's a hypothetical scenario. So
because if that's the case, if I can warp time as well, I would play every single game that ever came out and review it, because I would have all the time in the world to be able to do that. There's so many games that come out all the time, even shitty ones on Steam and the Nintendo eShop and whatnot. I'd probably review more because I like reviewing a lot, but it takes a lot of effort, which is partly why I like it, but partly why I don't do it so much, because it's time away from doing other things. I think I'd go to like every studio like all the time, and I think I'd buy my using a lot of this money, I would buy my way into these like businesses, and so I could get to the point where I can just walk into, I don't know, Sony Santa Monica and just walk in, say hi to Cory Barlog, and just look at all their shit and be like, I promise I won't tell anyone about what you're doing, but I'm going to look at everything about what you're doing. But on top of that, cool. I would use it for content and like dev interviews and that sort of stuff. I think that could be cool.
Yeah, I think in terms of the ideal vision for the content would be generating like original stuff, like you said, visiting developers and doing interviews and stuff. That type of original content that gets quoted in news cycles in the industry. Getting to talk with developers, understanding the frustrations, understanding the problems that go into, because that side of things isn't reported on enough, I don't think. The issues. Why is it difficult to make new stuff, new imaginative gameplay loops in open world games? Asking those types of questions. We're all familiar with the problems we have with games. Asking the developers themselves, like why is this an issue for you? Why does it take so long to update Red Dead Redemption 2? Why is it all these questions that people want answering? I would love to get to the meat and bones of these issues. Why do you shove microtransactions and everything, EA? Why do you do that? They would never let me in, but I'd fucking ask them that.
I'll book a meeting with Andrew Wilson. I'll take him out to dinner. I'll wine and dine him with all this loyal Patreon money. And I'll spend it all on him. Yeah. And then I'll be like, right, buddy, for real now. What's the deal here?
He can buy his own fucking lunch, man. He can buy his own fucking lunch. He's got enough money. Thanks for the question, Mr. Lochka.
Okay, next up. This is, I think it's my turn. Angry Hobbit. Hey guys, it's been a while. Will either of you be buying the new Destroy All Humans game? I'm on the fence and would love a review from a trusted source. If not, what has put you off? Destroy All Humans, it's not a game that comes across my radar. I didn't play it when the original one came out. I think this is a remake, isn't it? That's the new one, or is it a sequel? I can't remember.
It looks like, I mean, so the next one's coming out on July the 28th this year. The original was 2005. And it was called exactly the same, so Destroy All Humans. So I'm pretty certain it's a remake by the looks of the name, because the name is exactly the same. Never played the original, never really been on my radar, so I'm not sure what this game is. I sometimes rely on you guys to tell me what games should be on our radar, so obviously it's on my radar now. I will be checking it out. Not sure whether I'll buy it or play it yet, but I'll definitely give it some research.
Okay, where's the next?
How about yourself?
I mean, well, it's basically the same. Like, I don't have anything against it or for it. Like, it's just not on my radar. I've heard of it, but it's just not something. It's just
so many games now. That's the problem, right? Too many games, and they're all too long, Henry.
They're too long. If I can play Destroy All Humans and have a good time in 5 hours, then I'll get it.
There you go. So last question this week is from Tons, and he asks, all right, another hypothetical. Darksiders, but you play as Kratos, or God of War and you play as War, who I assume is from Darksiders because I have never played it, so therefore this question is defaulted for you to answer. Yeah. Kratos has a boy, axe, and everything else he has in his arsenal in God of War, and same goes for War and his abilities. And then I would personally go for Darksiders with Kratos. Beating down angels and demons in an apocalypse sounds fun. How about you? I played Darksiders 3 more than the others. I'm not too familiar with what War can do, so I'd go Kratos in the Darkside world, because that axe is one of the most fun combat gameplay mechanics of the generation. God of War is probably my game of the generation so far. Now that we're getting to the end, I'm starting to think about that sort of thing more. God of War is probably it. And if I can just play more of that with some new enemies in a new place, I'm there, man. Just chopping angels up, telling more folk tales and fables to Atreus. If I just play more as Kratos in anything, I'll be there for it. Yeah, that is fair. Thanks for the question, Tons, and thanks for the question questions to everybody who put them to us this week. If you want to leave a question for next week's podcast, head to the channel called Podcast Questions on the Discord, and you only get access to that if you are a patron member, obviously. But you can join the Discord, like I said earlier, down in the comments of this description of this video. You can find a link to the Discord, and patreon.com/prettygoodgaming is where you can sign up for access to the members only area. And with that, it is time for the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week. All right, Henry, this is a bit of a stretch, this one, but I'm shoehorning it in here. So, here we go. It's aimed at you. Davy Boy Chopper says, "Insane Clown Posse is not hip hop," all in caps. "That statement is fucking offensive. They nor their work reflect hip hop. Do your damn research, Henry. Find the tenets of hip hop and you will see what I mean. Also, it has nothing to do with race, but everything to do with hip hop culture." There you go. Hip hop fan.
What's he talking about race for? I mean, triggered. You Google Insane Clown Posse, it comes up hip hop duo. That's what they're called. I don't listen to Insane Clown Posse. I just wanted to make a silly bit of a pun, because people are dressed up as clowns, Red Dead's a bit insane, and you can form posses. So it's a match made in heaven. Right, Google just the words Insane Clown Posse. You get a Wikipedia article at the top and the little thing at the side of Google. Insane Clown Posse, hip-hop duo. Then in the Wikipedia thing, Insane Clown Posse, often abbreviated to ICP, is an American hip-hop duo composed of Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. Founded in Detroit in 1989, Insane Clown Posse performs a style of hardcore hip-hop known as horrorcore and is known for its elaborate state live performances. So, I mean, what?
In your defense,
like, that's what they say. That's what they're called. I mean, they might not be the likes of other hip-hop artists that I can't think of. I don't listen to hip-hop.
I mean, I don't care what you think, Henry. This guy is fucking offended.
I mean,
by the fact
you were unsure if this
offended by the Wikipedia definition of Inside Clown Posse, or whatever it is.
I think you were unsure if this one qualified as a triggered fanboy. I think it absolutely does.
Right. There you go. Let's move on to some other YouTube comments from this week, which are slightly less triggered, some of them, but either way, still fun to read out. So, Henry, do you have one?
Where are we? I did have it. Oh, yes. So this one it's also completely irrelevant to the video, which is kind of why I like it. So this is on Wednesday's video, which was Ghost of Tsushima review roundup. But for context, Monday and Tuesday we did 2 videos focused on Ubisoft things. I think first was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, then Watch Dogs Legion, because Gaz got to play them through a preview event thing. So this person commenting on the Ghost of Tsushima video, which has nothing to do with Ubisoft, Dara M, think you guys lost a lot of audience trust with the Ubisoft shilling. Now, we'll go, in order of the comment. Think you guys lost a lot of audience trust. What trust do we need for this specific video is one thing. Like, I mean, this isn't our opinion. You're not supposed to trust our opinion. It's just other people's opinions on what was the game, Ghost of Tsushima, and the fact that Stadia is now getting more games, and the fact that people are dressing up as clowns in Red Dead. I don't think that there was anything to be misconstrued or untrustworthy there. Now for the good bit, Ubisoft shilling. I mean, how is it Ubisoft? Wow. We 2 videos about 2 games. Granted, they were in a row, but that's because the embargo was at the same time and we didn't record them at the same time, so we had to stack them. About Ubisoft things where we were asked to play them, Gaz got to play them, and we said a few nice things. Is saying nice things about a game shilling? I think we're getting to the point, and we have been for a while now. There's sort of like the anti-shill now, where instead, so shills, you only say good things about these companies, right? If we labour onto that definition. There's people who now say that you can only say bad things about these companies now. They're like the anti-shill. Like, what are we supposed to do? If you like it, you like it. Like...
Well, I don't know. I mean, I read another comment. I don't have it to hand, but it was something like, "Oh, shilling for Ubisoft at this timestamp," and I watched it back, and I said something. It was shrouded in cynicism and kind of skepticism, right? But I said something like, "I think this will be some people's favorite game."
Yeah,
and that was it, right? That is shilling. How is that shilling? Some people will like this game. I don't particularly like it. That implies I don't particularly like it. This isn't going to be my favorite game, but this will be some people's game. Obviously, I'm being kind of underhanded negative to it. I'm implying that I don't like it, and apparently that's shilling. And it's a good point, right? The anti-shills. If you say anything at all positive about a Ubisoft game, you get dubbed as being a shill. Like, I was very kind of middle ground, kind of. I said some positive things, more positive things about Legion, because I was trying to focus on the positives and not just like bash a game, having never really played it to its full extent. I wanted to focus on some of the hope side for that game rather than all the all the bad things that I'm anticipating. Does that make me a shill? No, it just means that I'm trying to inform some people who might want to take a look at this game. I'm doing my job as a journalist, essentially, putting my personal feelings to one side and trying to focus on some things that might interest people. That's not shilling. How is that shilling? I don't know. I mean, I said what I thought about the game. I didn't lie about the game. Like, that is not shilling. You're talking through your arse and you don't know fuck all.
That's it. I mean, who knew that you couldn't say anything on the internet without some idiot having a go at you?
On that same note, though, I've got a comment here. Nick Taylor commented on the Assassin's Creed Valhalla impressions video. Were you reading a script given by Ubisoft?
I'm
you
glad
guys
you got this
touted the same stuff as everyone else. Like, we said the same stuff about this one game, given our 3 hours on the game, as everybody else did, given their 3 hours on the game. Either we got given a script, or we played the same fucking game. I mean, obviously we got given a script. We would never just play the same game and have the same impressions, because that would be too far-fetched, right? What the fuck are these people?
I'm so glad you picked out that one, because I was looking for it, but I lost it. It's fucking, like,
what the fuck is he on about? Like, maybe what I'm saying is actually true if other people are saying it. Or we all read from the same Ubisoft. We're all shills. We are all shills. I just don't get these people. Like, I know that, and obviously he's negative towards Ubisoft. I mean, does that mean that we're all shills because we don't share the same opinion? Don't get it. We don't get what's going on in that.
We all have different opinions, yes, but some people also have a similar opinion. No, fuck it. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm moving on. I can't be asked to deal with it because it's just, I'm losing brain cells thinking about this dumbass.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, well, sort of unfortunately, another one about Ubisoft, and this one is on the Watch Dogs video from Sit Nomin Digna. So much for not being political. Goobisoft strikes again with their newest title, Woke Dogs. No thanks. I mean, I bet you really lost some sleep over thinking of that name, Woke Dogs. Okay, so Ubisoft likes to say they're not being political. All right, yeah, fair enough. But how is this one woke? I mean, a lot of this woke bollocks washes over my head. Like, I can see it in some stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, that's quite obvious. But other stuff, I'm like, where are you getting this from? How is what this one is particularly woke? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's can someone elaborate in the comments? This is like,
I think people are far too sensitive, aren't they?
People use the word woke and SJW and simp and all that shit way too much, because when it is the case, it just loses all your power. I don't know, man.
Okay, on a lighter note, I've got a bunch of lighter ones now. So G. Horton comments that I'd on last week's podcast. As a Welshman, I take offence to the comments about shagging sheep. I shag goats as well.
Forgive me. I forgive me for stereotyping you for not being an inclusive community of mutton shaggers.
Hey. So that was the first one. Have you got anything?
I haven't got one in front of me at the moment. I'll see if I can find a nicer one.
I got another one. Matty Rose says, so that was one against me. I got Matty Rose. He kind of balances things out a little bit. He said, I love how Henry is so adamant that he's not posh. First advertisement, Harrow, in capitals. You're not fooling anyone, Henry. Smiley face. I
mean, I don't get that one. Did he get an ad that was for something about Harrow, which is a part of London? We can't control what ads come up. We have a limited control of when they come up. We can't control what comes up. I mean, that is. I think it's just pulling. That is hilarious if that is the case. Although it could have been better. You could have had some like bespoke caviar or champagne thing. No, like I speak relatively correctly, although a lot of the times, like now, my tongue tries to fall out of my mouth and I can't speak correctly at all. But I'm honestly, I'm not very posh. Grew up in just not,
I would
like,
contend that.
suburbs.
I mean, versus 99% of the population of the UK, you talk posh. I mean, it's a comparisons game, right?
Well,
99%.
I don't think so.
Listen to my.
Yeah, but you're from a
the
very
way
different.
I talk, for God's sake.
You're from a different part of the country.
Here we go. Here we go. We started this.
Hey, it's
you're
not
from
anything
Wales.
It's
you're
a fact.
Sheepshagger. What
it's a fact that you are from Wales. That is an objective fact, which has a different accent to where I'm from, which is. From
I like
Essex.
the way you enunciated objective. Objective fact. That is an objective fact. I mean, enunciation says it all, Henry.
I mean, forgive me for speaking the correct language.
You can speak correctly all you want, but don't try and dispute the fact that you're posher than 99% of the population. Right, let's move on.
I'll take it. I'm posher than you. I'm posher than you. I'm definitely not posh.
Can somebody sound clip that, please? Metalshark, get on it, please. I'm posher than you.
I'm posher than you.
It's like that Harry
You
Enfield.
need to edit it so I've got like a bowler hat and a bow tie or something.
Harry Enfield. We are considerably richer than you. Okay.
Exactly.
Next one. Hands-on impressions of Watch Dogs Legion. Andres Lionheart comments, I'm triggered because you didn't mark my favourite segment in the video. Oh, sorry, this was the podcast last week. My favourite segment in the video... Sorry, you didn't mark my favourite segment of the video in the progress bar. The ending segment. Last week's ending segment that if you stuck around for, I said, time to move on, and now it's the end. Do you have to remember? And then you commented that it was the famous ending segment. So he's gutted because I didn't timestamp it. But maybe I'll do it this week. Who knows? Do you have any comments yet?
No, I'm trying to find a nice one that's not just too.
I've got another one. Like, it's fine.
Gushing.
You keep reading. I've got another one from last week's podcast again. Stes AFTW commenting on the question where circumcised or not circumcised, right? So this is his response to that topic. Some of us had to lose the snake's hood from an adult perspective. Give me my damn foreskin back. Worst operation ever. Sadly, non-optional. R.I.P. little fella. Now for a brilliant detail. I'll eat my damn hat if this doesn't get an honourable mention in next week. When the surgeon mutilated the one-eyed cobra, he also removed a tattoo I had as a teen. Also, R.I.P. Pac-Man.
So
that is amazing.
With this one,
that's the best comment of this week.
Surely you mean... Because you mutilated the tattoo, and this is an operation on a very, very specific part of your body. You telling me that you had a Pac-Man tattoo on
his foreskin? Apparently,
I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say it loud because that's making me wince.
This guy's the best. I love you, Stes AFTW. Foreskin or not, this is awesome. Thanks for the comment. And yeah, you did get an honourable mention. That was. The most fun I've had this whole podcast. Thank you very much. I think I'm out now, Henry. Do you have any comments?
Yeah.
Go on then.
I haven't got any. I could keep digging. I've seen a few, but I've just kind of.
I think ending on the high note like that is a good place to go out. And let's move on to the final segment of this week, which is the bad dad joke of the week. Okay, Henry.
Let's do it.
This week's bad dad joke is this. I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me.
I think that's my situation at the moment. This is mainly laziness. Like I trim it every now and then, but it's probably the longest it's ever been.
I think my wife said, is Henry trying to grow a beard like yours? Is Henry trying to... That's what it is, isn't it? It's Welsh beard envy is what this is, Henry. Call yourself as posh as you want. You just want my Welsh beard.
I mean, your Welsh beard should be all fluffy and furry like a sheep, right? That's the way it works,
Henry.
In your land.
You're mistaking what we shag from what we are there, dude.
No, you're such animals. You shag it and then rub it all over your face.
Okay, enough of that. And that is it for this podcast. Let's end on that very... awesome note. Just an image there for you to take away into your day.
We go into our very popular segment, the end segment.
Let's go into the next segment, which is the last segment of this week, which is the ending of the podcast. So thanks everybody for joining us. And remember, if you do want to support the channel and help us bring you this content, head to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Every single dollar counts. I really mean it. And thanks from the bottom of our hearts from me and Henry firstly for watching and for supporting over on Patreon. And that will do it for this week's podcast. We will see you again in the next one. Until then, bye for now.